Stand by, Dana, because we got Brit Hume with us now. Brit, good morning to you. You covered Ronald Reagan, and I don't know who channels him best tonight, if anyone does, but I'll take you back to October of 1980. This is Reagan on the regulations coming from Washington and how if you reduce those regulations, you can give a lot of economic freedom to Americans. Watch.
The leadership that I envision in Washington, if I should have enough of your support, would be to take the lead in getting government off the backs of the people of the United States and turning you loose to do what you can do so well.
So, you know, you can make a tax argument on that as well, but I think it comes back to economics, and that's what Dana was trying to get at there with Ronna McDaniel. How do you see it going tonight from your scorecard?
Well, a couple of things, Bill. Ronald Reagan would very much recognize the situation in America today. The Biden administration is imposing regulation after regulation, or people appointed by him are at places like the Federal Trade Commission and the Federal Communications Commission. This stuff is what they're about at the moment. Lighter regulation has been a staple of the Republican Party's view of things, and I would not expect a great deal of disagreement among the candidates on that stage tonight. I think, you know, that they're all pretty much in the same place on that, but it's a defining issue between the two parties. There's some defining issues within the party, one of which I'm worried will not be much talked about tonight, and I'm talking about Ukraine. And I'm personally worried, concerned that that the Republican Party is becoming isolationist, something that Ronald Reagan would not have approved of.
Yeah, and Britt, he did talk about things like a strong military. I mean, that was one of the things that he rebuilt, this whole idea of power through strength through power. I want to bring up something else. On FoxBusiness.com, a piece by Carrie Byrne that talks about this vibe we're feeling. I think a lot of Americans, this skepticism for people in power. She says, writes, Reagan believed the ultimate bulwark against tyranny was the enlightened American individual, buoyed by faith in foundational values and ever vigilant that embedded deep in the DNA of the human species is a thirst for people with power to seek more of it. Britt, we've seen this on so many different fronts. How much do you think we'll get about that from the candidates tonight? This idea that they've become very skeptical in our institutions, in our leaders, and everything about Washington.
Well, there is, to a great extent, I think, a crisis of confidence in American institutions. We see declining membership in churches. We see declining confidence in our justice system. We see declining confidence in our political leadership. So I think that's something to worry about.
You just mentioned it, Britt. We just happen to have this clip here. I'll take you back to Reagan once again, right? You're making the point about Ukraine and how the candidates deal with this. I mean, you know, there are voices on the right especially that are starting to pop up yet again and say, you know, maybe it's not a great idea to be given billions and billions of dollars to help fight this war. So let's go back to October 1980. I think this might have been his last speech before the election that year. This is Reagan on national defense.
The goal is world peace. That must be our prime responsibility. We are the leader of the free world whether we want to be or not, and therefore we are the only ones that can preserve the peace. And to do that, we must have strength.
That really goes to Shannon's point a moment ago. Are we still that country, I guess many would ask?
Well, that goes exactly to the question within the party right now. When you look on that debate stage, you'd see that Mike Pence and Nikki Haley and everyone else, to a much lesser extent, believes in that Reagan idea, the idea of peace through strength, the idea that America is the principal bulwark against tyranny. It feeds directly, that disagreement feeds directly into the question of support for Ukraine, which, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, we're trying to defend the Ukrainian border. We're not even defending our own, which is a very clever talking point, but I think it misses the overall point. There's no reason America cannot do both. And I think that this divide among Republicans right now on this issue is important because sooner or later Republicans are going to be back in power and will have the control of American foreign policy. And it is looking like it is going to be a very different kind of foreign policy if you look at what people like leading candidates are saying, even Ron DeSantis and certainly Donald Trump are saying about this issue, that we should kind of withdraw from the world. I think pulling away from Ukraine, as many Republicans now seem to want to do, would be likely disastrous in the same way that pulling out of Afghanistan proved to be. People can argue about whether we should have engaged there in the first place. That's true, but we are where we are. And we have to examine the consequences of withdrawing from these commitments that we've made and the effect they would have on world peace. Not a positive one in my estimation, but I wonder if that's now a majority position within the Republican Party. I fear it is not.
Makes for a great debate, doesn't it, Shannon?
Yeah, it's one of the places we definitely see daylight between these candidates. So that whole concept, peace through strength.
Thank you, Brit. We'll see what we get tonight. Brit Hume, thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.